Hey everybody, welcome back live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive, WJOP 96.3. Hope we're catching you on the road out there. The sun is shining. It's a pretty beautiful September day here in Newburyport. Hope you're all doing well. And as I look ahead at the weekend forecast, I think a lot of us around here are excited because Saturday looks good too. And Saturday is Plum Fest, the big music festival. Shannon Kinney is in the house, puts this thing on. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Great to see you. What is your official title? Is it your director, executive director?
I am vice president.
Vice president.
Yes.
Okay.
Seems like a big fancy name.
Vice president of Plum Fest. Well, this is I know we start with the weather because obviously last year was tough. We hit like that hurricane conditions, right?
Yes.
It was
crazy. It was a
out.
heartbreaking time for us, for sure.
Yeah, well, I know. But you guys still put on some stuff in the local establishments. But I know the whole thing about Plum Fest is you get outside and you walk around and it's bouncing around from house to house and everything's beautiful. So we're looking more like that this year, right?
Absolutely. We sure are. We can't wait.
Shannon, how many bands do we have this year?
We have just over 100 bands at more than 50 locations all over Plum Island.
More than 100 bands?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And I don't say an exact number because a couple are changing right now.
Oh, okay.
If you can imagine.
I can imagine. As somebody who books the guests on this show, I understand how things are in flux sometimes.
It's crazy.
Never mind when you start talking about 100 bands. Is that a bigger number than years past? Is it growing every year?
Actually. In the initial years, it has grown every year since 2015 when the organization was founded by Cynthia Keefe and Kevin Kelly. They had almost 50 bands, I think, and we have grown to more than 100. And we actually had way more than that asked to play.
Wow.
And all of our bands volunteer. So it's incredible that we have this kind of support from the music community.
Yeah, I know bands that have come in here and have talked about it with me, and some of those bands have like big shows going on at other venues later that night. But they're like, I want to keep my commitment. I want to make sure I play a quick set at Plum Fest, and like they go out of their way to make sure that happens too.
Yes, it's such a special, special part of our event.
Yeah. All right. So, the weather's looking good for Saturday, which is always a plus. And so let's talk about just logistics a little bit, because one of the things I like is you have the Plum Island Airport right there. And,
yes.
I mean, that's where the parking and shuttling's happening, right?
Yeah, and it's so helpful for us to have that part where everybody can leave their cars and hop on shuttle buses, because as you know, Drew, there's not a lot of parking on Plum Island.
No.
It's a beautiful place, but it's much easier if people are on foot or bikes. We have a lot of people bring bikes, all on their bike racks and ride in, and that is fantastic. And the Boys and Girls Club, who is our beneficiary of Lower Merrimack Valley, they put the shuttle buses and help everybody find a spot at the airport.
Awesome. How much work actually goes into all that logistic stuff? Because I know it's not easy.
It is a lot. It is such a lot of work, but we're an all-volunteer organization, and we're a nonprofit. We do a couple fundraisers early in the year to help us operate, but we are all here volunteering, and it's a tremendous amount of work. I can say, because she's not here, and she wouldn't let me say it if she was here, but our president, Mary Ellen, I think the hardest job is the voodoo of matching the bands to the host who wants a certain kind of music, the right bands, and it's all scheduled so you can walk down Plum Island, and as you get farther and farther down the island, bands are still playing.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of Tetris. That is probably the toughest job out of all of us.
And if you've ever been to Plum Island, some of those venues, I mean, you're literally talking, I mean, there's some bars and stuff that will host. We can talk about those a little bit later, but a lot of this is just back decks.
People's porches,
front porches,
decks, driveways, garages. I mean, this is part of the Porch Fest movement, which is all over the U.S. And Cynthia and Kevin, when they started Plum Fest, really wanted to highlight just what a remarkable music community Plum Island is.
Yeah.
And so they wanted their own Porch Fest, and we're so lucky. I mean, 50 people are opening their homes.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
To random people who
Yeah.
just want to hear great live music. So it's very special.
I always say this about Plum Fest, and you're right about all those movements, the Porch Fest movement, that it really is, if you have you need the whole area to be on board,
Yes.
Because if it doesn't, the cliche term is a few bad apples, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean they're bad people, but if you have some people that are really against it, it can ruin these whole things. So the fact that you have everybody on board and it's just one big Plum Island celebration day, it's just so cool, I think.
Well, and you're right, and the neighbors support it. Some people choose to leave Plum Island for the day if it's not their jam, which I totally appreciate.
Yep.
But we remind our guests to, stay on the sidewalks. The streets aren't closed.
Yep.
Some people need to get in and out of here. But you're right, the island is super supportive. The Newbury and Newburyport police departments are very supportive and help us with traffic and make sure that everybody's safe and have a good time. And it's just a great way for people to see the island.
One thing I always liked about it too is just at the end of it, it seemed like there was a lot of well, there's always people looking out for each other, which is like good at any festival, but also just leave only your footprints behind, that sort of thing. Like a lot of make sure people picking up and all that. I know you guys love that as organizers.
Yes, and it's such a big part of our culture because Plum Island is a nature reserve, right?
Yeah.
And we want to make sure we take care of it. So one of the singular requirements of every host is, of course, you have to have a place for the band, but you also have to have a trash bin, right? So we have trash bins at all 50 locations, and then there are several on the island that are put out there, and we have an amazing team of volunteers who help us keep all of those cleaned up.
Yeah.
But we are so lucky that people respect that. We very rarely spend a ton of our time dealing with messes.
Yeah, I've people that have done these things before, and things do trend that way. I tend to see those festivals tend not to last, because
right.
it's it becomes more of a pain, and they're I'm not here to babysit and tell you to pick up your
That's
bottle.
right. It would be a lot less motivating if that's what we were doing.
Yeah, so this is great. How many years now for Plum Fest?
We were founded in 2015.
Okay.
And we did not have one during COVID.
Right, okay.
2020.
2020.
But 2021 we did.
Yeah, you bounced back quickly.
Yes, that's right, we did.
So it's an exciting time of year. Again, Shannon Kinney joining us, Vice President of Plum Fest here. It is this weekend. The official start time, I think, is noontime, right, for bands?
That's right.
So you might want to leave yourself a little time, get in there early. I know we have one of the acts coming on later in the week. Charlie Russell's coming on.
Charlie in the Hustle.
I see he's on the early schedule. I think I saw close to 12:45. I think he's on. So Charlie in the Hustle. Any bands that you kind of maybe a first-time band or something that somebody's surprised about? Or
we have so many. Charlie and the Hustle is one of my favorites personally. Yep. But we have so many new bands, as well as if you look on the schedule on our website, plumfest.org,
Yep.
we have a lot of youth talent. So I think
good.
we have 11 different bands that are young people, which is pretty exciting.
It's very good. Actually, one of those young people that came on last year to help promote the show is Eloise Kirkpatrick, who is great. We lost her to college this year.
She's in college this year, that's right. But she paved a really great path for a lot of other young people who are like, wow, she's killing it right now, and I'm going to try too.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's fantastic. We have a couple bands that are coming back, and that are younger and really expanding their repertoire.
Yeah, has that been so that's obviously been a real push of Plumfest, is to try to get young kids, not just young kids, but young bands in there. Let's give kids a shot.
Yeah, it's really part of our mission. Cynthia and Kevin felt strongly about inspiring young musicians by their funding of several scholarships and the Boys and Girls Club Music Room. And we want to continue that not only with young people, but also just being a very welcoming, open place for all kinds of people. But we like to highlight youth talent because they need a stage to be on.
And the whole thing's a family environment anyway, right? It's people,
Absolutely.
People walking around. You can go escape and just, you can't really escape the music, I would say, because it's everywhere. But, you can go take a stroll on the beach. It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful spot to be anyway. It's just a nice day to be out with the family, which I think is
exactly.
Nice.
People pulling kids in wagons, kids with headsets, kids with tie-dyes. We just love seeing everybody, and everyone is so happy. It's what I think my favorite part of Plumfest is.
People tend to be happy on Plum Island anyway, don't they? I always find that. That's one of my.
So do, Drew.
It's one of my things I like about Plum Island.
Do.
Again, Shannon Kinney joining us, Vice President of Plumfest, which goes down this weekend on Plum Island, big time music festival. Oh, big thumbs up to those parents who do pull those wagons, by the way.
Totally.
I do not have kids myself, and that seems like a lot of work, some of the things these parents do to get their kids out.
You're right about that. And it's kind of a hike. People are walking around to make sure they see just the right bands.
Yep.
But our map online, plumfest.org,
Which is great great, by the way.
Thank you. It has walking directions between locations.
Yeah.
So people can plan their whole day and just go place to place to place.
You almost, I mean, that's like your festival preparation should almost like start today if you're going to do it. Like, and download that app and like look at the map, because you want to
look at the map and
you
the
want to
schedule.
plan your time. You can map your own personal schedule almost.
Exactly.
Which you can do it. All these festivals do it these days, but it's so important.
Totally. And I've had texts from 3 people today that are trying to do it and wanted to make sure they knew the latest info. So.
There you go. Yeah. Any schedule changes, I'm sure, will be up there as they
sure will.
As they go. Is it? We talked about how much work goes into these things. Is it almost like Saturday comes and goes? Maybe you give yourself Sunday to soak it all in, and then like Monday you're kind of thinking about the next one.
We're right back at it.
Right,
Yes.
yeah.
We tally up the money. We realize how much we're going to be able to donate to the Boys Club and Girls Club. And I should say, the event is free.
Yeah.
And so people can come and not donate anything, but there are red buckets at every location, and that's where the funds raised come from. We tally that up and we figure out, what do we have to do to beat it next year?
Yeah. Wow.
How are we going to figure that out?
Has it been the same partnership with it was the Boys and Girls Club, right?
It's changed a bit over the years. In early days, a lot went to them.
Yeah.
They've been a part of it since the beginning.
Yeah.
We did a lot of scholarships in the beginning. Cynthia and Kevin felt really strongly about that.
Yeah.
Last year was exclusively them. We've also had the Watershed Council and a couple other groups involved. For 2025, we're going to open it up and let people apply so that we can make sure we're having the biggest positive impact on our community possible.
Oh, that's cool. So it's a little bit. Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea. What are like the things in the past that like people have done where like that's not the way to take in Plum Fest, whether it be driving mistakes or what are the things not to do ahead of Saturday?
Some of the things not to do are bring a lot of cars down there and think that you could just leave them on the street.
Yep.
That tends to be a real problem, and they'll be towed if they're not in a paid parking spot. Like, that's Plum Island, whether it's Plum Fest or not.
Yep.
We understand that everyone are celebrating, so you can celebrate on all the locations of the hosts, but you leave your trash there, and you don't walk around with a bunch of glass beverage bottles.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
We're still in a society out there.
Yeah, and you can't be grumpy. We don't
like
deal
that
with
one.
grumpy. We like happy people who like live music.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there's a variety of music of all different kinds all over the island. And if you have a specific genre you're looking for, check out the lineup page. There's something for everybody to smile at.
I gotcha. Who has came to Plum Fest and been grumpy? I want to have them on the show. That must be
I know, because that's what not to do.
Yes.
We can't have it. We just can't.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
They'll be weeded out by natural selection.
It is true. You stick out like a sore thumb if you're grumpy at Plum Fest, I think. What about noon time? Does this thing go into is it like an end time?
It's noon to 6.
I
and the
clearly
bands,
have to download the app myself for the.
Yeah, the bands will be wrapping up by 6 p.m. And but we typically see people lingering a little bit longer.
That's
And
just the Plum Island way.
it's just our way. We're still having fun.
Yeah.
But the live bands will be playing noon to 6.
Okay, noon to 6. And how about you personally? Is your goal to see as much music as possible, or are you like, you can only do so much? I'm mapping out my own Shannon map.
So I am so grateful for all the bands that play, but I have a Shannon map.
Okay. Yep.
I have a Shannon map. And when I agreed to join Plum Fest, I said, I'm so honored you guys have asked me to join, except I love being a customer that day. So I need to hit, a couple locations.
Yes.
And now I'm the block captain of those locations. So
Okay.
they still gave me a job, but I get to see my bands. So I'm excited.
Who are your bands? You mentioned Charlie.
Well, actually, Charlie and the Hustle is one. Lee Biddle is one.
Sure, yeah.
Muck and the Myers and Dave Herlihy, who are going to be at the 65th Street Experience.
Oh, okay.
And the 65th Street Experience is my favorite venue of all of Plum Fest. And I love all of our hosts.
Yep.
All of them. But it's just, they're dear friends and they serve tacos. And it's just a great, the bands are up on a deck. It's just this quintessential Plum Fest experience for me.
That is cool.
I end the day at the 65th Street Experience.
Beautiful. Yeah. And as far as like food options go, I know I've heard about the tacos. They're,
Yes.
I guess you probably want to make sure you have a little something before you get here because it's a lot of walking and energy. But
It's a lot of walking.
What's your recommendation on that front?
Yeah, so the good news is we have some food trucks
Yep.
on the island. We also have Plum Island Provisions and the Cottage and Riptide and the Surf Sunset Club.
Yep.
All of them serve food.
Yep.
And so there are a lot of options to grab a sandwich on the go or sit down and eat. But it's good to plan out your water.
Yeah.
We have water at every location. I think we have 60 cases of water that are delivered tomorrow. But it's still good to plan ahead for those things. There's also an ice cream truck that's going to be riding all over the island all during Plum Fest. So if you need dessert, that will be there too. But we
And
have a lot
more
of choices.
kids just suddenly got interested. There you go.
Exactly. They'll hear that. That's the music they care about.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. Keep that music down, though. We got a lot going.
Exactly.
That's actually never an issue, too. It always amazes me with how much music is going on at the same time. Like, I don't know if that's a thought process with you guys, but you always do a good job of, like, there's no battling.
No overlapping.
Yeah.
So that's part of the Tetris experience I was explaining before that Mary Ellen does.
Yeah.
She's thinking about where is the next location. We don't want the bands to override each other, but we also want to keep the schedule kind of moving down the street.
Yeah.
And so it's an immense amount of balancing of a lot of personalities
yes.
and the schedule, to
Yeah.
your point. So we don't have two bands crashing
Yeah.
together.
You don't want
in sound.
Green Day playing over James Taylor.
Totally.
Yeah. But
It wouldn't match.
you'll take both of them for Plum Fest, though, I'm sure.
So I'm sure they're interested. I know I'm on their list.
Very funny. Shannon Kinney, the vice president of Plum Fest, goes down Saturday from 12 to 6. The music starts at 12, nice and early. So get yourself all informed up and ready to get to Plum Island on Saturday. Is that what are you wearing? The last year's shirt?
I'm wearing one of this year's
Oh,
shirt.
that's this year's brand,
Which is
okay.
in white. The white ones are out. We also have blue.
Oh, very nice.
So there's a blue one.
Are you designing the Plum Fest shirts? Who's in charge of this?
Yes, actually, we did an art contest this year,
Oh.
and we opened it up to several artists. We had dozens apply, and the winner was Amanda Killam,
Oh, okay.
who is believe it or not, an apparel designer.
Wow.
She usually does sneakers, and she applied and sent in this gorgeous pieces that we've used for our shirts this year.
Wow, very cool. I'm glad I asked about that. Good
Yeah.
job, Amanda. Is
Yeah.
she from here?
She is from outside of Boston.
Oh, okay.
But she is originally from Newburyport. She
Okay.
just doesn't live there any longer.
She's got connections. And,
Yeah, she's a local
kind
to
of a
us.
cool story.
Totally.
Yeah, I wonder if
Yeah,
she's
we-
coming to see the music.
I hope she is.
Well, she'll see a lot of her shirts around, if nothing
And
else.
they're remarkable. We've had a lot of great designs over the years.
Yeah.
But these ones are really special,
Do
thanks to her.
Do you ever see them out and about, like in the world? I always think that's cool about these little festivals. And like you're like, oh, that place you wouldn't expect it.
Totally. So one of the lead singers of the band, Tom Hotzen, from Tom Hotzen and the Traveling Newberries,
yes.
he travels everywhere, and I always see our shirts. He'll be like, in Croatia, in a Plum Fest shirt. It's like, go Tom, go.
There you go.
But he's my favorite ambassador.
Tom's a great guy. I know
Yeah.
Tom. Is he playing?
He sure is.
Yeah, do you know
The
what's on the top
Traveling
of your head?
Newberries will be there. They're going to play at the Sunset Club.
Ah, okay.
I don't know the time off the top of my head, but I believe it's early in the day. So
Gotcha.
for everybody who's interested in seeing them, they are one of my favorites too.
Yes, yes.
Check the schedule.
Great musicians, great people.
Totally great people.
We get to hang with them every now and then on Plum Island as well. How is Plum Island like right now in this beautiful September time of year as you lead up to Plum Fest? It's I imagine it's just gorgeous as the weather
It's
cools
gorgeous.
down a little.
And I hate to say this out loud,
Uh-oh.
but yesterday I went to the beach and it was like super quiet. Like I got a parking spot right in the parking lot and we were at the beach for 3 hours and I was like, wow, this is like the calm before the storm.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I wonder. 'Cause there are people I've noticed that even like I'm Danvers where I live, so we used to go to like the Gloucester beaches a lot, and like it is funny after like when the kids go back to school, like a lot of people in their heads just like
They assume it's done.
beach season's over.
Yeah.
It's like what do you do? Jump to winter? Like
I know, it was a great day there yesterday.
And if we're gonna do that, you might as well just let the dogs go to the beach because that's one of my favorite fall pastimes.
It is. That is good. And there were dogs on the beach yesterday.
Yeah, that's a great thing about Plum Island. Yes, is people tend to do that. Do you get dogs at the festival?
We can.
Yeah.
Dogs are totally welcome everywhere. Of course, if they get along.
Yeah.
There's
Responsible
the friendliness.
dog owners,
because
please.
the crowds can be a little bit bigger, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of kids, and safety is important.
Yeah.
But for happy dogs, of course, they're most welcome.
Yeah, I always say be careful with like the kids and dogs. I always say too, just be careful with volume because Even like kids, like if you're going up to, if there's a rock band, I see so many kids that like, I do a lot of the rock shows in Boston.
And they don't have head.
And like dad, it's cute right up front, daughter on shoulders and all that. But like,
It's a thing.
yeah, that can damage, especially at those young ages, and
It's totally
if they're on your
true.
shoulders, there's a good chance they might not be developed enough to be hearing the rocking music. So
Right,
That's
that
always
close.
bothered me at some of those rock shows.
Yeah, I totally hear that.
know?
And we see a few with like the really cute headsets on.
Those fix it. Those work
and they
incredibly.
really help.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we'll also have like a space on the side of the lawn, and all the kids will be running around away from the. They're
Yeah.
less interested in being as close as we want to be as grown-ups.
Yes, which is good. Yeah, it's probably more of a bigger, like a Boston venue sort of thing. Like I remember
Yeah.
at Gillette Stadium, even I'm like, was it a Springsteen show? Was that?
I saw a baby at Springsteen this year, and I was
a lot
very
of those people like to
surprised.
bring kids, and it's like there's something nice about that. It's like this is the guy I grew up with.
Experience it.
Yeah, I would do it if I had kids, but just gotta be careful. Like those, stack of speakers.
Yeah,
there. A lot of power.
Totally.
Anyway, here's your public service announcement from the music scene for the
Wear a
day.
headset.
Wear a headset.
I got the little earbuds for my daughter when I would bring her like to the House of Blues or
Yeah.
somewhere, and so she would put those little ones in because they went with her outfit.
They're cool now. Yeah.
And it was a little bit better, but yeah, we totally do that.
No doubt. Again, Shannon, Kinney joining us. Plumfest 2024. It keeps rolling on. Do you have like a vision in your head about how many more Plumfests you want to do? Is it something you're just going to do until you can't do it anymore?
I'm in it for the long.
You are. Okay.
Yeah, I love the team. I love the mission that we
Yeah.
have about creating this wonderful experience on a place that's so special to me. So I feel really just honored to be included.
It's work, but it's like work with the ultimate payoff.
Absolutely.
Saturdays.
And as long as I'm able to still keep my, hey, but I'm a customer the day of,
Yes.
I'm really lucky. Other people are in the booth the whole day. So.
Yeah, really, yeah. I was going to say, you can't be the only one, though, right? I mean, you have there's a lot of people that you all genuinely love music here when you get going. You love Plum
do.
Island, and you've combined the two passions.
We do,
which is
yeah.
great. How about as far as, like if people want to, obviously carpooling is a big thing. You mentioned don't bring too many cars. If you can just carpool into the parking lot, that's the best way to do it.
Carpooling's a big thing. If they come to the information booth, which is going to be at the cottage,
Yeah.
right on Plum Island Turnpike, they'll find a printed copy of our schedule. If there's anybody who the web isn't their jam, they'll find a printed copy of the schedule, but plan the map out ahead of time, because the map is online.
Yeah.
It's plumfest.org, and it does walking directions, so with your phone you'll know where you're going.
Yeah.
I would say that's a big deal, and then be prepared to have a great time and be generous if you can.
Yes, very nice. All the money goes to good causes. And you're right. It's not like it's one of those in-your-face things, too. I've always liked that about the festival, too.
Yeah.
It's not like...
We pass the red bucket, and everybody's welcome whether they put anything in or not.
Yeah, I've seen people at like bars, like it is kind of like I'm sure people give in their own ways,
Yes.
and
And, like,
it's
kind of like, hey, you haven't given yet.
Where's your $10? I'm like, well, I don't have cash on me, but I
Yeah.
see people get in those weird scenarios a lot, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
just
Keep it
little
chill.
space, will you?
And we also have T-shirts and stickers for sale.
Lot
and
of
the
merch.
T-shirts, we got a little merch, and that also, the profits from that also go to our beneficiary, which is the Boys and Girls Club. And the T-shirts are available at our booth at the cottage, as well as at Plum Island Soap.
Awesome.
So you can get them at either spot.
Cool. Boys and Girls Club, if I remember correctly, because we had them in one year before this, they had a lot of volunteers working too.
They do.
Yeah.
Their volunteers are all the people who take care of the Plum Island Airport and helping people get into shuttles and making sure the buses are happy and that all the people are in the shuttles and get everywhere they want to go. And the shuttles go all day long, all throughout the island. So they don't just drop you off at the top of the island. They'll take you to the lower part of the island, depending on where you want to go. And that's all the Boys and Girls Club.
Is the airport still open?
No.
No. Airport's completely closed.
No.
No flying in.
I don't think so. Well, actually, you know what?
Interesting
I'm
question,
not
right?
positive about that, Drew. Now that you say it, I know we rent the space. We have the
Yeah.
space, and they allow us to put porta potties there, but I don't know if there's any
Yeah.
airport traffic.
I've told this story before, so I guess I don't mind saying it again. I'll probably say it again next show too. But I had got a little look into I'm not a pilot or anything, but I am I like airport stories. I had Livingston Taylor on this show, and he called me the day before the show and said, "Drew, I was thinking I might fly my plane into Plum Island. What do you think about that?" And I was like, "Okay." that'll be great. Sure. He goes, I would usually take an Uber, but I'm wondering if you could just come pick me up. So I'm like, I can.
I think I can do that.
I can do that, sure. So I go pick up Livingston Taylor at the airport. I see his plane fly in. Livingston gets off the plane with his guitar on his back. Fascinating story, right? Took a picture of it because I was just like, this is bizarre. Like, for me, it's bizarre.
It's so Plum Island.
Yeah, it is. So he walks in, and it was great. Comes in, does the show, driving back to the airport, and so I know he didn't check in with anybody when he got off the plane because I watched him. What, you got to check in with anybody as you're flying out? What are the rules? No. As long as you stay below the deck. Okay. You need me to do anything? No. Actually, yes. Just hang here. Just make sure the plane starts up. I'm like, what?
Okay.
There you go. You put guitar on the plane.
So you're the safety guy.
I'm the safety guy. Takes off, goes along the coast. And yeah, exactly. No, I didn't. I stayed very close to my car. But it was amazing how
how chill it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's part of being a small plane pilot too. I was like, wow, it must be a lot of freedom. I would never do it because I don't love.
They've got to register their flight path with somebody probably, but it's not on Plum Island.
Sure, yeah, I know. I'm sure it's all taken care of. But yeah, it was just the idea of just getting out of my car into your plane and flying to, I think, Martha's Vineyard or something.
See you later.
Crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy cool.
So yeah, I would imagine maybe if somebody wanted to land, they probably still could.
They probably could, yes. And get the shuttle right from there.
And get the shuttle from there. There you go. Maybe a band will fly in.
Be a handy spot.
All right, very good. Well, this has been fascinating. Shannon Kinney, Vice President of Plum Fest. We're ready to go for Saturday. Any last-minute thoughts you're thinking that we didn't get to, or what?
I would love to say thank you to our sponsors and supporters. Our largest one this year was DeMora Smith LLP, which is a law firm that does civil litigation, trust, probate issues. We also have Dream Local Digital, The Cottage, the Sunset Club, Riptide Cafe, Harvey Signs, Plum Island Soap, and the 65th Street Experience.
There you go. Very good. That's what makes it all go on, right? Should be fun. Again, 100+ bands at this moment.
Got it. 100+ bands, 50 locations, all kinds of fun.
6 hours, 12 to 6 on Saturday. If you've never done it before, go check it out because it's a great New England music take. Let's put it that way. You kind of got to do it. Put it on your bucket list, all right? Shannon Kinney, it's great to see you again. Have a great day Saturday. Good job dialing up what appears to be a good forecast so far. I'll knock on wood just to make sure, but looks like it's going to be a great day all around. And thank you for all the hard work over the past year here and putting this thing together and getting all these bands in one happy place.
Thank you.
Maeve Power, thank you for producing the show today. We appreciate it. Ryan Rothberg's in the house. The boss, Sarah Hayden, who makes the wheels go around here. We appreciate our small but mighty team that make my life easy. We will see you all. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy Plum Fest if you're going. Live at Drew's House, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Peace.